Welcome to the political platform of chaos. Today we will talk about how one colossal political gesture turned the American dream of home ownership into the Canadian dream of billion-dollar contracts. You might remember the times when Donald Trump proudly declared a colossal tariff on lumber and everything related to such statements. "We don't need their lumber," he said. "We have more of it than they do."
And yet we don't need their lumber. We have more lumber than they do. We don't need Canada's lumber. So what I'm doing is...
Sounds like the mantra of economic nationalism, doesn't it? Well, the results turned out to be solid, but the truth is only not for Canada. Get ready. This is a story about how America First led to Canada First. It's going to be interesting. Our president decided that Canadian lumber is, and I quote, "a threat to national security." Of course, because what could be more threatening than building materials from our closest ally? But the truth is, Canada isn't just an option. It's the lifeline of American construction. About a quarter, that is 25% of all the lumber used in American homes comes from just across the northern border. That's about 12 billion board feet every year. To replace such an amount of timber, well, in my opinion, it's impossible, and many experts would agree. Even if all American sawmills, which, by the way, are already operating at 95% capacity with old equipment, start running non-stop, we will still have a shortage of over 3 billion board feet. There will still be a shortage, and it will be so large that you can only imagine it in your mind. The fact is, as soon as the tariffs took effect, lumber prices immediately skyrocketed. They crossed the 650 mark, and then reached 765 per thousand board feet. The National Association of Home Builders calculated that every 1% increase in lumber prices adds $1,000 to the cost of a new home. When the price reached $765, it meant that $10,000 had been added to the cost of an average home without any improvement in quality. Trump didn't just put a tariff on lumber, he put a tariff on the right of American families to own a home. Developers' projects in Texas, Ohio, and Florida have slowed down or even come to a complete halt. They are on hold because of these tariffs. A policy intended to protect American industry has instead created a wave of inflation and shut the door to mortgages for millions of American citizens. And this is a very serious situation at the moment. And what about our northern neighbor, Canada? What is happening in Canada now in connection with these changes? Instead of panicking, as Donald Trump expected, they switched to Zen Buddhist mode. Prime Minister Mark Carney did not respond with tariffs on American goods. No, he essentially said, "Thank you, Donald, for this wonderful, albeit harsh push towards global diversification." The government in Ottawa quickly announced $500 million and then another $1.2 billion in investments to help its manufacturers find new markets. This is not revenge, this is a targeted strategy, very consistent, and it is also an innovation for the Canadian goods market. A little known fact, before this trade war, 90% of Canadian exports, specifically lumber exports, went straight to the USA. It was a large but risky dependence. Trump's tariffs instantly forced them to look at the world more broadly. And they found it. They saw new people and potential partners to work with. Among these new friends, I would like to highlight, for example, South Korea, Vietnam, India, Australia, and even Japan. Even Japan, a country that is very far away, increased its imports by 26%. They invested in innovation and high-quality products, transforming themselves from a raw material appendage into a reliable, stable global supplier. Trump had an idea, a maniacal idea, to isolate Canada. He wanted them to be dependent, but he made them independent. The irony is so loud, you can hear it all the way in Vancouver. This dispute hasn't been about boards or tariffs for a long time. It's about what happens when political bravado triumphs over economic logic. While the US is stuck debating how to reverse its own policy without losing face, Canada is actively signing new international contracts with new international partners. Their reputation as a reliable and stable supplier has become their greatest asset in a world struggling with unstable supply chains. Trump's goal was to protect American industry, but as a result, his actions undermined a cornerstone of the economy, housing affordability. And the paradox is that the measures intended to limit Canada's influence have instead increased their global impact. They transformed themselves by diversifying their assets and their partners. So, dear viewers, what do we have as a result? Canada, which was once a dependent junior partner, has now become a global player. Thanks to its remarkable ability to adapt and adjust in extremely difficult and challenging situations, and also thanks to the United States, who were the ones responsible for building a wall, they ultimately ended up constructing that very wall for themselves, because it effectively shut them off and isolated them from other potential partners, as well as from other countries and nations. This story can teach us only one thing, that economic power in the modern world is not about isolation and control, but about flexibility and partnership. So the question that now hangs over every construction site in North America is whether protectionism really protected America's interests, or did it simply open the door for Canada's rise? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you appreciate analysis that isn't afraid to speak the truth, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. See you next time.